The study of public administration revolves around government and the decisions or the role of the government in society. From your small time constable to your DGP, from a window clerk, right, to the chief secretary, all of them comprise of this something called administration. Our classes are not dictation. Our classes are not just notes making, right? We want you to have a strong foundation of this subject. UPSC is not interested in asking outdated things now. So the more contemporary it will be, the more administration centric it will be, right? Because whatever governments are doing or they are not doing, whatever they are succeeding at, whatever they are failing at, is all public administration. The way UPSC thinks, right? Probably we think better 2 steps ahead of UPSC. Right? But getting there requires time and effort. And you will eventually get there, right? If you keep doing consistently the effort, which I am telling you. Preparation must be coupled with relevance. Preparation must be associated with sense of commitment to the task you are doing, not just preparation. Anybody who prepares doesn't qualify. Good morning to all of you. This is our orientation class for you. And this class would be giving you a very brief but comprehensive understanding of what we are going to do, right? So welcome all to this first and orientation session. Now, obviously, there's a very famous saying, right, by Thomas Jefferson, who was the erstwhile president of USA. While talking to a reporter, a media person, that what exactly is a good government. So he gave a very famous statement that a good government is a less government and the very best government is no government at all. Now this statement has a very profound impact on any person who is preparing, studying, or aspiring to be a civil servant. What is exactly a good government and what exactly is a government that we are going to study? Your study of public administration revolves around 2 key things. One public, one administration. What is public? Public is simply the people. Public can be government. Public can be state. Public can be common. Public can be collective. Something which is for everyone. So we are going to study the government, right? That is the word public in the most simplest sense means. When we start with the study of public administration, there are 2-3 things which should be kept in mind. One, it is not just a single optional which is studied in isolation. It is an optional which gives you the tremendous advantage in the entire preparation of UPSC. If you know this year's prelims had 4 to 5 questions directly from pub and optional, now people will say geography also comes, history also comes, definitely. But imagine the increasing role of public administration is indicating something which was not there previously, right? Also, the recommendation of the second ARC that make public administration mandatory for students to study, just like saying that make medicine or biology or botany mandatory for people of medicine or people who want to be doctors to study, right? Or physics and maths for engineers to study. It's the same thing, right? Ask people to study public administration, right? So making public administration essential part of the UPSC preparation is already in the offing. It is in the minds of the people who are designing, redesigning the syllabus, and obviously restructuring or reforming the exam over a period of time, right? But let me keep things simple today. So the study of public administration, right, revolves around government and the decisions or the role of the government in society. Now, when I say government, the government has 2 parts, right? One is the part which is the politics part. Your politicians, your MPs, MLAs, parliamentarians, ministers, deputy ministers, state ministers, cabinet ministers, variety of ministers, right? Both at the union government level, at the state level. Now, this entire is the political part of the government, right? Where we have elected representatives who are appointed as ministers or part of the government. Right? Now, the same government has an administrative part, right? You must be listening to the news about Tukaram Munde, fine, the IAS officer who is the Commissioner FDA for Maharashtra, and he's been doing great work. So, the administrative part of the government, right, that comprises of civil servants. Now, these civil servants are not just IAS and IPS, right? All the public servants who are working for the government, who are employed by the government, who are selected by a particular examination based on merit, they are all called civil servants. Fine. Generally, when we define civil servant, we don't include army, right, and judiciary into it. Obviously, judiciary is a different system. So, from your small-time constable, right, to your DGP, from a window clerk, right, to the chief secretary, all of them comprise of this something called administration. So, government has two parts. One, political, that is ministerial part. The other is the administrative part. Fine. And so, we are going to study mostly the administrative part of the government, right? First thing. Second thing, can you think of an administration without knowing about the political part? Can you think of a secretary without knowing about minister? You cannot, right? So obviously we'll also study the political part which has relevance for administration. That is laws, policy making and all those things, right? We'll talk about it, don't worry. Fine. Now, so one thing is very clear that we are going to study something called public administration. Fine. Public administration is public plus administration. What is public is obviously the people. Fine. This comes from a French term or Latin term, but Latin publicus or French public. Fine, which means obviously people, common. Who are common? We are common. Common means together, collective. Common is not that common, Aam Aadmi Party wala common, but we are together, right? Collectively, we are known as common, which is for everyone, which is universal. Fine, or citizens. Okay. Obviously, who represents the citizens or the common? Who represents us? Right? It is the government. That's the idea. So we can say, oh, state, the political system which has government, right? Technically would mean public. So public is the government or state. Anything that has to do with the government or the state or a system of government is public, right? Opposite of that is private. Private is corporate, right? Which is being done for specific customers, for specific people, specific members, right? It is not being done for everyone. It is not universal in nature. That is the meaning of word public, right? Administration is to obviously do things, to perform tasks, right? To manage things, to monitor them, to control them, to supervise them. So I would simplify and say, oh, it is more about to execute. Fine. But again, it comes from the Latin word ad ministrare, right? Which means obviously to serve. Whom to serve? Obviously the people. So public administration in this sense gives us a more moral and ethical meaning, that it is a system of government, or it is government which is serving the people. That is what we have to study. How to serve the people, how to serve the citizens, how to ensure their welfare, justice, equality, benefits, right? Whatever, livelihood, security, and a lot of other things. So public administration essentially is the study of the system that performs these functions. So it includes both the study of the system and the functions the system performs, right? First, am I clear till now? right? Our classes are not dictation. Our classes are not just notes making, right? We want you to have a strong foundation of the subject, which is most likely to yield you around 40% of the insight into your general studies. That is why when people say the optional is easy, it is small, it is correct. Fine. But when I look into the cumulative impact, the multiplier effect of this optional into ethics and governance and to so many other areas, right? I find it interesting to read it little more so that my effort in those areas gets reduced or it becomes much better than other people who are studying something XYZ optional and then studying GS. So it is obvious that a PubAt student's general studies acumen in paper 4 and in paper 2 or in general. You look at paper 3, right? What is it about? Is it about governance? Is it about just economic policies? No. Is it about just budget or finance? No. Is it about science and technology? No. It's about policy. It's about governance. So what exactly government wants to achieve by implementing a nanotechnology mission, right? Or what is going to be the impact on society or hereinafter the way governments work or the way the citizens demand their needs or your demands and their welfare and other benefits if the AI is used. See, so can you think of any question in the exam, right? I would exclude history and geography to an extent, but any other question in the exam which is not centric to society or government or people, there is no question in the exam like that. Even question on disaster management is not just on disaster management, right? It is not just from geographical point of view, it is from the governance point of view, right? So you can imagine what is the domain of this study. The domain of this study is this. So like I told you, right, we have to study the system of government, right? When I use the word government, right, it is part of something called a state. Now, can somebody tell me what is the state? So basically, our entire study will revolve around state, the machinery, the system, and what it does for the society. What problems and issues emerge when these decisions or benefits are implemented for the society. How did this system emerge? What were the sources? What were the reasons? What was the inspiration behind the study of the subject? Now we'll deal with a lot of things like that. Because you're studying an entire subject. You're not studying just one part like governance in your paper 2. So basically you're trying to understand, right, the entire source, right, the entire framework of what is public administration. Fine. So first, so we have to understand what is a state when we think of public administration. What is a state? Fine. Anybody of you, can you tell me what is a state? Then we'll come to the syllabus, I'll tell you, don't worry. And how and where we are going to start from, that also I'll tell you. What is a state? What is a family? Family is uncle, auntie, papa, mummy, grandfather, grandmother, children. This is a family. Right? We are using a collective term. Right? Collective noun for them, family. Right? We are not saying mummy, papa, we are using the word family, and it is quite clear that this is family. Correct. Population, territory, government, and sovereignty. Yes, Adishta, very good. You're right. Just one addition you can make to it. Fine. It's called the legitimate form of government, not just the government. Government is in North Korea as well. Fine. Government is in China as well. But yes, the modern scholars of political philosophy, they might not agree, fine, that it is technically that. Correct. Very good. Yes. Debashrita. Very good. You've given a very comprehensive definition. Correct. So like I said, what is a family? Family is a social, biological, emotional unit, which we declare as family. We go to a mall. What is a mall? A congregation, arrangement of shops or some entertainment or something together called as mall. Fine. So what is a state? Let's simplify in very basic sense. State is the political system of a society. Any society which wants to create right? Or have a political system, a system of power, right? What is political system? A system of power, representation, participation. That's a system. So a system of power, right? How this system of power is visible, right? Is manifested, is the state. So it can be monarchical state, it can be democratic state, it can be communist state, it can be totalitarian state, it can be dictatorial state, it can be XYZ state. But it is the form of power or political system which a society creates. And why does it create? Or why does it exist? Obviously to govern the society, to exercise power on behalf of society. See, so understand it. State is what? It is a political manifestation or manifestation of the political system of a society, right? Political is power. You can make notes. There's no problem in that. Fine. Then I'll tell you the method. How will you write and make notes in the class? So it is obviously a system of power. Now, obviously, how this power is visible, how it is exercised. Fine, there must be some mechanism. How the family operates. It's not that everyone is cooking food, right? It's not that everybody is earning money. It's not everybody is managing house. Obviously, it is divided. Fine. The power of this entire state is divided, right? This is called separation of power concept. The power of the state is divided into specialized units, specialized systems, who will be performing their tasks separately, right? Or maybe independently of each other, but obviously not in isolation, independent, right? Mother and father have independent roles, but they are not isolated. They are connected. So this is called separation of power, right? Separation of power. Fine. In the end, I'll give you my introduction, right? I did not give my introduction. I'll give you in the end. Fine. There's no time for formalities, right? So, separation of power, the concept which was given by American political philosopher Montesquieu. So, Montesquieu talks about separation of power. Right, even though I would say there were a lot of other scholars, Indian scholars as well, who have talked about this idea, but let us assume this way: the Western knowledge domination indicates that it is Montesquieu who highlighted the separation of power. And he said that this state's power is divided into three parts. Fine? Legislature, executive, and judiciary. Obviously make laws, implement laws and policies, implementation. Fine? Review, control, right? And protection of public interest. So authenticity of their decisions is reviewed by judiciary, right? So independent system. This is a general classification of state. Obviously, what you have given is the international law definition after the formation of United Nations, right? Or League of Nations 1945 and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1949. Right? Or technically you can say the United Nations international law, which defines what is a state. So international law defines that what is a state, what a territory could be called as a state, how it could be recognized legally as a state, right? For example, you are somebody XYZ, how will you be known as a citizen? Right? And this is very paradoxical in India that we do not have any identity for citizenship, right? So whether we are citizens or not, still we are in dilemma. Fine, but these questions we'll try to address in the class. Don't worry, right? Our classes are not boring, as presumed. Fine. Intensive study, conceptual understanding can come with a lot of humor. Yes, the difference is that humor cannot be the street side humor as visible on the YouTube and Reels. That might be a little different from that. Fine, you'll have to adjust to that idea. So, the role, right? Legislature, executive, judiciary, they perform different tasks. They are specialized. Now see, so systems which make laws, execute laws, and there is a judicial system, right? obviously. So when you say international law definition, what does it say? It says this: there is a territory, there is a land, right, which has people in it, and it has a boundary which is demarcated, right, and it has a form of government which is managing the entire territory. Now let us make it in a, or use it in a sophisticated manner. So what will the international law definition say? That a territory would be a state, a nation would be a state, a cultural community can be a state, right? That's a legal identity you get internationally. So it will say, fine, you are Mr. XYZ, but now you'll be a citizen. How will you be a citizen? You need to have these features. You need to have these requirements, and you will be entitled to benefits, right? If you are a citizen. Same way, if you are a state recognized by the United Nations, you are entitled to a lot of benefits, which logically you are not in general, right? If you're not. So, right, having a land or a territory, having a defined territory, having a defined population. Obviously, you cannot say Pakistan's territory is mine and your claim will be accepted, though we want it, right? But we cannot say that way. So it is obvious, and vice versa. So we have a territory, we have a population, we have a people who we call as citizens, right? Then we have a legitimate form of government, which is based on rule of law, right? That is the proper criteria. And we have obviously sovereignty. Sovereignty is the declaration that we have power, we have absolute control over the decisions that we make, and we don't allow anyone to interfere into our decision. Obviously, this was necessary declaration after decolonization, right? We were colonized, we were controlled by different countries, we were controlled by obviously a small country, island country like Britain, right? And obviously this declaration was necessary after we all became independent. Fine. So that's international law definition. But concept is that there is a political system. It can be of any nature. We don't care. Monarchical, democratic, communist, socialist, right? Dictatorial, exploitative, benevolent, welfaristic. It doesn't matter. Fine. But there's a state. So what we are studying, what we define is the modern understanding of state, right? Post United Nations model of state. Right, so we say, oh, there are three entities. The power of the state is divided into these three, right, and they perform their work. And one of the important part of the state is the government, right? This executive is basically the government, right? Like I told you, this government has two parts. One is the ministerial, right, or political. One is the ministerial or political, right? They are also called as temporary. Fine, executives, though they don't feel they are temporary, fine, but they are ministerial, political, temporary. Okay, this is the political part, and there are administrative, fine, which are non-ministerial, right? You can use the word. They are non-ministerial, right? Non-political, right? They are more selected part. They are selected through an examination. Fine. They are elected part, right? And they are called permanent. They are called permanent executive. Right? Why they are called permanent executive? Because they come or they are employed for 25-30 years till the time they retire. Right? Because they are basically employees of the state. Politicians are not employees, obviously. Fine. So definition of employee is typical, right? So these people, right, they are public administrators, public servants, civil servants. Like I said, when we use the word civil, we exclude military and judiciary. All this is administrative part, right? Right from the window clerk to chief secretary to cabinet secretary, highest position of administration that is possible, right? From constable to DGP, all. Fine. Whereas these are obviously temporary. So they are called permanent executives. Now, this study of permanent is mostly about them. who they are, what they do, what their functions are, what system they occupy, how does this system look like, what are the features of the system, right? What reforms can we bring, what are the issues when they implement things, and likewise. This is the core and the crux of the study of public administration. Fine. But like I said, without them, without understanding them, we cannot understand them. Without understanding them, we cannot understand them. So it is true that when we are studying the public administration, we are studying the executive, not just the administration. Though this is not studied in as detail as it is studied in political science or in your polity paper, but yes, it is studied with respect to administration. A minister and civil servant share a very strong relationship, right? Government works through something called ministries. Ministries work through something called departments. Who are heads of department? Administrators. Who is the head of ministry? Minister. So basically, minister wants the administrator to do or execute things which they want to happen. Okay? Now, let's simplify it. So it is true, right, that whenever we study government and politics and the impact or role of government in society, right, we basically mean executive. So how does government work in any society? Right? And what is the primary target of a government? How does government work? Right? What is the target of the government? Now we are talking about whatever we'll study, we'll talk about mostly democracy. We'll talk about modern political liberal systems. Fine. Now certain terms you should know. Right? PubAd is very vocabulary centric. Right? That is why many students feel, they feel threatened by it, but it is not true. If that is the case, never attempt an essay paper. Essay paper is highly vocabulary centric. So will you not attempt essay? See? So when you're a good PubAd student, automatically you develop a very intensive understanding of things, right? The way UPSC manipulates the question in any section of the paper. Because public administration gives you that advantage. It is common sense, it is practical, plus it relates to what is happening in the governments today. So it makes most of the things easy for you. Obviously, UPSC is not interested in asking outdated things now. So the more contemporary it will be, the more administration centric it will be, right? Because whatever governments are doing or they are not doing, whatever they are succeeding at, whatever they are failing at, is all public administration. Fine. So let's understand in simple way. This is government. Right? How does government work? So we have a government, right? Or let me simplify certain things. How did we create a state? How did India get a state, a democratic system? How did we get a system, right, which is going to govern or manage or control the society, right, and obviously provide certain benefits or regulations in the society? How did we create it? So do you agree that Indian state is democratic? Right? Do you agree that people vote and elect their representatives who become part of the government? So we have an election process where people participate. Do you agree with this? Yes or no? Fine. You can say yes or no. Right? So do you agree we are a democracy? Fine. We have a constitution. Fine. Which Rahul Gandhi is carrying in his hand. And the existing governments are trying to dismantle. Fine. And everybody who wants to portray himself as anti-casteist, anti-this, anti-establishment, right? They all carry constitution. Right? Do you agree with this? Okay. Are you able to understand? Very good. So we have a constitution. Right? This constitution is written. Who wrote it? A lot of people. Constituent Assembly wrote it. Now this written constitution, right? Whenever we think of governments today or state today, right? So we have to understand that state or political system and society. They are in sync with each other. The societies created the governments and the state so that they can govern them effectively. Else, society would be anarchic in nature. Any society which has people, obviously which has population, as you said, this population cannot arrange itself, fine, in a very organized, systematic, well-controlled, voluntarily moral and ethical in nature. Can a society exist that way? Can any society exist in a very moral, ethical character without some external control or regulation? No. So, society understands that there will be a lot of anarchy in society. The big will eat the small. The strong will control the weaker, right? The rich will control the poor. The elites will dominate the vulnerables, and the society will have, right, something called disparities, crime, exploitation, exclusion, injustice. Fine. Ideal state, but not in reality. Correct. Very good. Fine. So we can say we want a state. Society creates a state. Right? I'm talking about modern ideas, not talking about monarchies and other things. Right? That's political science. So we created a state. Right? Let's say we created a democratic state. How did we create this democratic state? We wrote a constitution. Why did we write it? So that nobody can come and manipulate whatever they want, which obviously they are doing, but still, let us agree. So we created, right? So see, all the modern political systems, whether there is a written constitution or not, it doesn't matter, fine, but there is a system called constitution. The constitution was created as an idea, as a framework, so that the society can keep a check on the state. Fine, checks and balances can be maintained. So this written constitution is like what? This is called a contract. So modern political systems, modern states are considered as contract between society and the state, the people who will be in the system of power. That is a contract. This contract is governed by constitution. Right? This is called political contract or social contract. See, we are living as a community. We accept each other in a particular space, in a particular territory. Right? We work as a community. We feel that we all are Indians. We feel from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, we feel we are somewhere one. We are tied together by cultural, geographical, linguistic, right? Traditional, historical, many factors bind us together. Fine. See? Social. Political, obviously, we have made a constitution. We have created a constitution, and through this constitution, we have given powers to the government or the people who will work in the government or the state. So, can you understand that state has come in the modern societies today through a contract? What is the meaning of contract? The contract means that there is a written, organized, systematic relationship between the people and their governments. Nothing is anarchic, nothing is ad hoc, nothing is verbal, nothing is just hearsay. It is not arbitrary in nature. This is very important understanding that you should have. Right? So that's called contract or contractarian principle, right? This is called the principle of contract. Political or social contract. Fine. So this contract is what? Constitution. If the contract is violated, we will remove you. If the contract is not legally and morally accepted by you, right? You have no right to be in power. If you don't value this contract, right, automatically there will be repercussions. Judiciary is there, people are there, election process is there. There are a lot of things, punishments are there. Right? That is what I said. I'm not getting a name. Adhishta, right? Even unwritten constitution is a constitution. Do you agree with this or not? Even unwritten constitution is a constitution, right? Do you agree or not? Right? There is a constitution, right? That constitution is dominated by convention. Unwritten does not mean it does not exist, right? First try to understand. So unwritten is not invisible, right? Unwritten means it is there. How it is there? In the form of convention. Has your father and you signed a contract that you will respect your father? You tell me. Right? Or do you respect your father only because there is a contract between you and your father that, oh, I will feed you, I will manage each and every resource, I will support your aspiration. Huh? Correct. So obviously you don't respect your father, your elders, maybe some of your teachers as well, right? Not because there is a written contract, right? You're joining the class, there is no compulsion that you have to respect me. Fine, I have no compulsion to care about you, right? Or be committed and be duty bound to you, right? You have no commitment, obviously, right? To be morally inclined towards me, right? Or to have some, socially acceptable behavior. There is no contract, fine? It is understood. It is voluntary. So when the constitution is not written into one book, there are several practices, conventions, judgments, right? These are historical traditions going on, which even if not written, they are acceptable by all. Fine. So writing is not something mandatory, but obedience and acceptance to it is mandatory, right? So if there is a principle, moral principle, ethical principle, you might be studying ethics and morality and other aspects also in GS. So if there is an ethical principle, it need not be written always. You need to care for people who are poor. You need to respect women, children. It's not to be written somewhere, right? It is part of civilized society. So that's the idea. So if constitutions are not written, fine, they are accepted, they are understood. Fine, chalo, okay? Chalo, bhai, don't worry. All your concepts will be clear, don't worry. I always guarantee my students when they come, and they will give you feedback if you talk to a lot of old students, right? That in terms of concept, right? Once you're out of the class, there are a lot of teachers in this field whom you can teach. Fine, obviously with respect. Right. So whether it is concept, whether it is the subject, the interlink, the UPSC, the way UPSC thinks, right? Probably we think better 2 steps ahead of UPSC. Right? But getting there requires time and effort. And you will eventually get there, right? If you keep doing consistently the effort, which I am telling you. Fine. So let's say, right? This is a contract. Now this was supported by many scholars, Rousseau, Locke, Hume, and likewise. Right? These scholars, you don't need a lot of their names, right? It's not political science. So these scholars talked about the idea, right? So there is a contract. This contract is the constitution. The constitution needs to be followed, right? And a relationship exists. Obviously, when constitution is followed and the relationship exists, it is to be accepted as something as rule of law. Fine. Idea of constitutionalism, right? That we don't have just constitution, we follow it also, right? We value the philosophies and principles of constitution, right? See, when public servants are corrupt, when public servants manipulate their positions, misuse their positions to take bribes from the poor, from the vulnerable. See, it's not to be written in the rules and regulation. It is to be understood. Being part of a democratic system, being given so much of power, right? Being in a position where you are supposed to serve the people, but you are manipulating, exploiting it, and you are literally, right, turning into an immoral and unethical insect, sucking blood out of the citizens. This is not to be written anywhere. This is something to be acceptable by you while you become a public servant. So being a public servant being a teacher comes with responsibility, being a student comes with responsibility. And I would not say you're a student, you are a learner. The student life you have left now. As a student, you don't learn. Right? You only learn when you become curious. As a student in college, you are never curious. The colleges and universities have never ignited curiosities. That's the biggest drawback. Right? But you pay lakhs of money there just for the degree that you get. Fine. Chalo. Okay, that's a different story. So it is logical. You don't have to be told. You have to accept. You have to understand. Right? You have to abide by it. It's a moral compass. Right? It's a moral fabric that is woven around you. Right? You are part of it. You should accept it. See, same. A lot of things are written, but a lot of things which are not written, or even if they are written but they are not followed in spirit, we don't have this. We may have constitution. So see, the idea is very simple. That state includes government. Government works, right, for the benefit of people in a democratic setup, right, using administration as a tool, as a means to achieve the goals for the society. And so what exactly is this idea? Right? That state now has a government. It creates a government. The government creates or employs a system called administration. Right? Both of them, what is their task? Is to implement, right? Or let us say government is to formulate, and administration is mainly to implement. Both are part of this formulation and implementation. What do they formulate? What do they implement? Obviously, they formulate laws. You'll say legislature. Legislature approves laws. Majority of the laws come from the government. Right? They make policies, implement policies, they make programs. Right? Whatever is to be executed in the society is done by them. Fine. So policy is what? The decisions of the governments. The framework in which the governments must accomplish the goals. What are these goals of society? They can be wide variety of goals. So ultimately, they want to achieve the goals. What are these goals about? Fine. These goals are generally called as public interest. Public interest. It's a very general term, public interest. It can be broken into two parts. What kinds of public interest do we have? Fine. One type of public interest is called regulatory. Right? Also referred to as non-developmental. Non-developmental. Fine. Other is called welfaristic. Fine. Or right, it includes both basically development. So the main functions that government performs, right, public administration performs for the society are of two types. One, regulatory or non-developmental. One, welfaristic or developmental. Fine. Or growth oriented. You can use the word growth also. Fine. These are the traditional functions. These are called traditional functions. Right? These are also called static functions. Why? Because they are mostly related to law and order. Security, when obviously police officials beating people in Jantar Mantar or students, that was not a developmental task. That was a regulatory task. right? Security, law and order, defense, right? Revenue collection. What they will do of revenue, that may be development, but when they are collecting revenue, it's not a development function. It's purely a kind of static function. So these type of functions, right, are called regulatory or non-developmental. That means they are mostly to maintain things, right? Road has been made, now no more roads will be made, right? Maintain the road. Office has been made, now nothing new will be made, maintain the office. Rules have been made, rules will be followed. No upgradation, no change, no modification, right? No betterment, no value addition. That's the static. So you can also use the word these are static. Fine. These are not traditional, these are modern functions, right? Or they are also called dynamic functions. What are these functions? Now when you say, oh, we need human rights, we need justice, right? We need better infra, right? We need livelihood security. I mean, you can also say this is little elementary, but still it is development function. For countries like India, we need livelihood, we need housing, we need employment, right? We need growth, industrial growth. Fine. We need education. We need health, right? We need this, we need freedoms, we need justice, a lot of things. See, it's an entire bouquet of goals. So there are multiple complex goals that society may have, which could be simplified into public interest. The word can be called as public interest. Fine. So these functions are regular functions which more or less any government will perform, because the government has authority and authority has to be exercised to maintain, control and regulate the society. So you can say these are the kind of functions, right? Like your father, patriarch, regulating, controlling, discipline. Fine. These are the functions which are for maintenance. What is established? Maintain the order. Fine. These are the functions for evolution, right? These are the functions for growth. So it is obvious that traditionally governments perform these functions, every government more or less, democratic or whatever, right? But lot of modern governments, when we talk about today's governments, we aspire these governments to work more on these things, less on these things. These are also important, work on them, but don't end up working only on them. So when our prime minister or chief minister or somebody in the government says, no, people should value the government, people should not ask questions, people should not evaluate what we have done, that is highly traditional way of governing. Fine. Even colonial systems used to govern that way. They also provided railways, telegraph, post. They made better infrastructure than today's governments. So what is the difference? Right? Should we accept them to be good governments? No. Because they did not value us. They did not consider our unique needs. They were not working for us. They were working to control the society. Fine. Are you able to understand this distinction? This is a very important distinction which will help you later understand a lot of things. Fine. Have you understood this? Very important distinction. So a government, imagine a government like an autocratic government, a traditional government, right? A colonial type of government, right? You know, Britishers, mostly concerned with these things only. Power, control, regulation. Military type of rule, right? Discipline, control. See, such nature of government right, is called a police state. So when we refer to the term police state, we do not exactly mean it's governed by police, right? We exactly mean that the nature of functions are mostly law and order, regulation and control, and they are not focused on development and growth and participation and voice of people. They are not oriented towards that. Fine, it's more of metaphorical. Let's not take it exactly as it is. But yes, colonial rulers were police state. North Korea is a police state. It's a dictatorial state. So where we do not value people's voice, people's freedom, their participation, or where governments are not focused on working for the people, but it is focusing on working on controlling the people, right? Or exercising its authority, regulating the people's behavior, that is a police state. That is why communist systems are criticized, because eventually they end up like this. They don't want people to criticize government. They believe that whatever government is doing is good because it is for the people. No. If it is for the people, then people must participate in the process. If it is good for you, if your family says we are not patriarchal, right, women have rights in our family, then why not women are taking decisions? You see, this is a patriarchal state. Why they could not pass the women reservation bill, right, in politics? Why they could not pass it? Why they wanted to club it to the Delimitation Act? Have you heard about these things? Many of you will say current affairs, right? Your class will cover everything. Obviously, I will not teach GS, current affairs, right? That will be taught by your GS teachers, right? But your current affairs, your class will have those all current affairs, right? Which obviously you need for your exam. PubEd is not a current affairs subject. PubEd is contemporary subject. When you understand contemporary means, it can be last 15 years. Depends upon what theory we are studying, how it has evolved. What aspect of administration are we studying, how that has evolved. Right? So it is true that contemporary issues, contemporary paradigms, right? The evolving things and current events, they are different things. Current event is like government passed a law today. Okay, this. Information known, provisions of the law known, finished. Now that is not PubEd. What PubEd would be? Okay, if the government passes this law today, what is likely going to be the impact on citizen administration relationship, right? How this law has evolved and transformed the public administration, or the impact on welfare and development of the society. Now this is public administration. Isolated event of current affairs is not public administration. Yes, latest developments do give us an idea that, okay, this probably topic of the syllabus will be more important this year. Fine, because president was in news, so this might be more important. Governor was in news, so this might be more. That's it. The theme that is visible in the current developments, that we have to borrow. Right? They are not bothered about that you are putting latest data or not. That is not how questions are designed. Fine, but we'll understand, don't worry. So you can say that now the modern states, or when I say modern, let's say after Second World War, I am talking about. Here, the society wants governments to be more people friendly. They want governments to involve people. They want governments to work for the people. They want governments to understand what are the needs of the people, design their strategies and decisions and resources, divert it to the people. People should be the center, not the control over the people. See, here the control over the people is the central target of the government, right? Here the people are the direct target of the government, not control over people, but development of the people. Fine. So these modern governments or states or political systems, they are referred to as welfare states. You understand? Or they are also called developmental states. Fine. So India is a developmental state. India was a police state, right? Colonial system was a police system, and India is a developmental state. We talk about equality, justice, inclusion, women, minorities, children, tribals. We are talking about them, right? Gender, our budget, Our policies are made gender sensitive. We are a progressive society. We are a progressive government system. Right? We value people. We don't want to suppress them. So obviously we are studying today what? The modern developmental or welfare states. And obviously what kind of administration is needed here? The same administration is needed here. Do we need an administration, right, which was used by colonial masters? No. We need to use an administration which is more sensitive to the needs of people. See, so without politics, without political philosophy, without political control and understanding, no administration can work effectively. So when we are studying administration, we also have to study the political part, right? Obviously, we don't have to study political science, but we have to study the politics, the government, right? The various functions that government performs and how these functions are interrelated to public administration. Fine. Are you able to make sense till here? Fine. So let us say public administration will try to study all this, right? It is about all this: welfare, development, justice, right? But when I say public administration, what comes to my mind? Fine, you tell me, what comes to your mind? Obviously, we are going to study it. So what comes to your mind? The first thing, what is public administration? Fine. Only 2-3 people are speaking, others are mum. They are enjoying their online freedom. In this journey of preparation, 50% of the people who could have actually become, who actually deserve to be there, I won't say deserve, they had the capability of, right? They give up while they are preparing. Why? Because somebody gets employed and then you get frustrated that my friend who did not know anything, he's employed now. He's earning money. I'll have to borrow money from my father. Fine. Or let us say somebody starts feeling that, okay, I should get employed. I should get this job. It is available. That's it. Leave this preparation. And many of you will think that this is very abstract. What is the outcome? There is no tangible, there is no physical outcome of this preparation. What I'm studying. When will I get the results? See? Now 60-70% are out of the race because of these factors. Tough है, time consuming है, it's irritating, it's so boring, it's isolated. Fine. 30% who will remain out of that, obviously, out of that 30%, I would say 70% again would not work consistently. They will work, but they will not work consistently. Now remain 30%. 30% of 30%. Right? They will now exactly work for the exam. And eventually, out of them, not everyone, most of them will qualify in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever attempt you are giving. So if you're seeking comfort, you should not prepare for this exam. Fine. For last 14 years, I'm teaching the same thing, more or less. Not same. Obviously, we are evolving every year. Fine. Obviously, as human beings, we evolve. As teachers, we evolve. We also read a lot of content, so a lot of things get added. But it's been 14 years now. If I was bored, right, obviously, I would have left. You cannot afford to get bored. You have to make it interesting. It is like life. Every day you have to get up, do the same work or live the same life, but you don't have to be bored. That's the preparation. Right? Some people, how not? I said you cannot afford to. Will you jump in the well? Right? Will you get into the mouth of a crocodile and say, no, eat me. I don't want to live. I'm getting bored. I want some excitement, right? Let's get today, right? Let's jump into the ocean. Let's get eaten by a whale or a shark. Chalo. Do we want to make things interesting that way? We don't. So how can we say that, okay, what should I do? Fine. Definitely you should do things. You should be active, play sports, do something, have a hobby. Fine. But you cannot say I'm bored. I'll study later. Hmm? I study recorded lectures at night, 1x, 2x. I will study at watch at 2x. So obviously you might be too smart. Right? But see, this exam has brought a lot of smartest people on this country on their knees. Fine, I'm one of them. Right? Many of you will think, yeah, okay, this, oh yeah, he is selected, so he is a better mentor, and no, it's not like that. Fine, the era in which we all have given the exams, those eras are different. The level of competition is different. The nature of paper is different. The same person who qualified this year will not be able to qualify the next year. That's a guarantee. Right? Many of them will not be able to qualify the prelims. That's a guarantee. This is the nature of exam. It's not about you being good or best or average. No. Right? Yes, if you have the capability, the caliber, you work properly, you will reach to the interview, you'll give the interview, right? After that, your destiny has a lot of other. If you're well prepared, obviously, some people take interview more casually like me. And I thought I'm going to the interview, it's okay, right? Somewhere I'll manage it. Fine. That means not prepared. So it is important. Preparation must be coupled with, right, relevance. Preparation must be associated with sense of commitment to the task you are doing, not just preparation. Anybody who prepares doesn't qualify. If it was so, everybody who was preparing would have qualified. Fine. So don't think you're the only one preparing. There are lakhs and lakhs of people, right, much smarter than you. But yes, I'm not demoralizing, I'm not demotivated. I'm simply saying, understand the competition. Don't try to be too comfortable. Fine? Don't exploit yourself, but yes, be or understand the process in which you have entered. Fine? And if you're consistent, right, you will qualify. I believe only one key feature of this exam is labor, hard work, consistency, and ability to not get bored. If these three things are there, eventually you'll qualify. Fine. And obviously knowledge is important, no doubt. Now see, when you look at public administration, when you listen to this term public administration, what is it? Right? You should have given me a simple answer. What is it? Why you have come here? Why you have joined this class? You want to study something. What is public administration? A subject? Yes. Fine. Is it agreeable to all of you? Simple. Is it simple aspect? That it is a subject, it's an area of study, it's knowledge, it's academic discipline. Fine. Will you agree with me? One. See, that is one. This is one aspect. Fine. One way of viewing and understanding this term, public administration. It's a subject we are going to study. It's an optional. It's an academic area. It has certain diverse content which we should study. Nay? Is it or not? Do you agree? Please keep writing. These things will help you. You will not find them in books. Right? Even if you find them, you will have to read a lot of books. So let me simplify it for you. Fine. The key terms are very important. This is how UPSC manipulates you. Fine. So you have understood? Easy. Very good. It's an intellectual domain. Right? We have to study it. What is public administration now? What else? So it is a subject. What else it is? Fine. Just now we said it's a government system. Fine. It's a system. What is a system? Right? What is a system? Fine. An organized office or institution. Or an institution. So when you say physical office, what is police thana? What is police station? Is it part of public administration? Yes. What is collector's office? Is it part of public administration? Yes. Right? What is this entire system of administration? Rules, regulation, procedure, office, superior, subordinate. What is this? Fine. That is called structure. You have to understand this term. What is structure? Structure is the arrangement, well defined, systematic, procedure and rule based. Fine. Framework to do anything. So government, right, creates a system. You develop a system, an office, rules, regulation, procedures, superiors, subordinate, laws, control, discipline, punishment, promotion. You do a lot of things, see. So you create an entire office, right? You manage that office, and obviously in this office, right, there are a group of people who are hired. So it's not a system where politicians get elected. It's a system where people are hired through an examination. See? So you can say it's an office where people are selected on merit. It's a meritocratic system. It's a competition-based system. See? So government creates a system, an office, an organization, an institution. We call these different names, right? Well-defined systematic procedure and rule-based framework to perform tasks. You go to collector's office, there will be a systematic way of doing things. You want agricultural loan, there will be a systematic way. You want compensation, there will be a systematic method, right? You'll go to some department. You want security, right? You want to report a crime. You want your roads to be built. You want irrigation to be done. You want something, right? You want to question the income tax that has been paid by you. You want to review it. See, for everything, there is a systematic organization created under the government. This entire organizations or group of organizations together can be called as the system of public administration. Fine. So will you agree that there is something called collector, right? And there is something called collectorate. What is collectorate? The office where the collector sits. So see, government has created an office, a system. And likewise, there are several offices which are working under ministries, right? Under politicians, under chief ministers, under ministers, and this entire system of administration, right, is public administration. Complex network of public offices is the system. Fine. So don't you think that the moment I say public administration, this also comes to your mind, oh, government office, a government system, fine, a public servant. Where is he working? Okay, he sits in this office. See? Income tax office, okay. Police headquarters, okay. Collectorate, SSP, PWD official, forest official. See? What is this? It's a system. Right? So you can also say in simple manner that it's a system, right? And day-to-day term, what we use? Civil services system. Fine. Or we use a term, something called bureaucracy. This you have to understand. Bureaucracy is a term which we refer to the people, bureaucrats who are working in the system, called bureaucracy. What is bureaucracy? The government system, or the system created by the government to perform its various tasks, right, using the bureaucrats or administrative officials. So the term bureaucracy becomes synonymous to the system, right? What is bureau? See, bureau is an office, right? It comprises of whom? Officials. Who are these officials? They are selected, appointed, not elected. Cracy is the rule. See, a system, an office, where officials, where people who are selected, where administrators exercise power or they rule the system, is called bureaucracy. So can you call civil services bureaucracy? Yes, you can, safely. There is no problem. Fine. Though the term bureaucracy would be more specific, civil services is a general term. Fine. Many scholars believe that the bureaucracy term should be used for the high level, powerful people in the organization of government, right? But it is not true. Okay. Have you understood? So there is a subject of study, there is a system, right, which is referred to as civil services system or bureaucracy. It comprises of officials who are selected by an examination. It's a merit-based system. It's based on competition. These are the people hired by the government to perform certain tasks, right? Do these people have a kind of job? Yes, they have a job. Fine. Is it a career for them? Yes, it is a career for them. Right? Is it a long-term career? Yes, it is a long-term. Right? Is there tenure secured? See, tenurial security. That is what bureaucracy means. These are not ad hoc people. They are not on contract. They are on permanent engagement with the system. They have been recruited, selected by the system to perform certain important tasks like execution of policies, programs, laws, whatever the government wants to achieve. Are you able to understand this? Fine. What else comes to your mind? See, public administration. Do you think that these are functions, right, which are distinct from private sector? Right? Is public administration, is doing public administration different from doing private or achieving private goals? So public goals, goals of society, right? Are these functions different from the goals which are to be achieved by Tata or Reliance or others? So public administration also means set of functions, administering the public. Right? I'm coming to that also. Right? So basically, what is it? It is performing functions. Right? various tasks done to achieve the goals of society. Now here you have to understand very interesting idea. Various tasks done to achieve the goals of society. Is Tata achieving the goals of society? No. Tata has its own profit-centric goal. Reliance has its own goal. Ambani, Adani, whatever these are. And Chief Secretary can say, no, I am making a new product which I want to sell to my customers. No. Right? See, they are working for whom? They are working for citizens. So, you can also say public administration also means set of functions which are very distinct from what the private sector is doing, right? What others are doing. The government's function, the government's role, right? The government's goal in the society is very different from the goals of other forms of organization. Fine. Now see, these functions are of two types. See, we use the word management of the affairs of the state, correct? Right? Yes, we manage things. We perform them, we monitor them, we regulate them, we do a lot of things, we manage things. Right? And we administer them. Right? Both are same things, right? Or both are similar but not same. They are similar. They are not exactly same. When I use the word management, right? So if I say, oh, this is bureaucracy, this is public administration, right? So generally, how do we depict a government system? We depict a government system like this. Fine. This is what bureaucracy is. Looks like this, right? Where there is a boss at the top. Right? These are various levels of the organization. It's a simple version. It will be a very complex system. So there is a head. There are subordinates, many subordinates below him. He is the head, single head, right? So what kind of office it is? An office which is headed by a single boss at the top. CEO, one. Collector, one. Chief Secretary, one. Secretary, one. See? These organizations are designed, DGP, one. These organizations are designed in a way, right, that eventually there is one single head at the top. Bureau, that is a kind of office. So see, these organizations resemble like this. Now I have to manage this organization, right, as a boss, as a superior, right, or as an organization we have to perform a lot of tasks so that we can manage the organization. We need funds, we need to pay salaries, we need to control, regulate people in the organization, we need to recruit people, we need to remove them, they will be retired, we need to pay them pension. Fine, we need to do internal inquiry, we need to control corruption, we need to do a lot of functions which are necessary to manage my organization. See? So do you think public administration is such a complex system, it will work without managing? It has to be managed internally. So the word management first is more related to internal functions. Also the word management indicates more of efficiency, profit, use of resources, right? More efficient use of resources. When we use the word administration, obviously I will manage the organization, right? I'll manage the organization, and at the same time, right, I will also perform, right, various goals. For what? For the society. Fine. Am I trying to achieve things for the society? Yes. Am I trying to direct these goals? Am I trying to monitor them? Am I trying to... So a lot of things I do with respect to the goals of the society. A lot of things I do with respect to the goals of my internal goals of my organization, right? A lot of objectives, external objectives, right? The main objective of the organization. So this is managing the organization, and this is managing the society. So when you use the word administration, it is more about external goals. Fine. Its sense is more of authority, right? Its sense is more of resource, internal. Fine. I'm not saying they are absolute terms, just for the sake of understanding. So when I have to keep my house in order, management. When I have to keep my society in order, administration. The same system is doing management internally and administration externally. Now tell me how many of you have understood it. It's not easy to understand, but if you put little effort, you will understand. So administration, subject. Administration, right, is a system. Administration, set of functions. Fine, I don't want to burden things on the very first day. So content, concepts I will teach start tomorrow, right? Because we'll start from a particular topic, not from the beginning itself. Fine, there are certain things which we need to know from where we are starting, because we'll start from a particular topic, right, which has advantage of understanding a lot of things later. Then we'll come back to, right? So we're not going to start just from the sequence, right? We'll start from a particular topic which is very interesting and which is very prominent, right? It is very dominant in the exam. You understood? So obviously you're very smart people. Fine. What are you? Can you just, okay, whosoever is visible and available right now live. Fine. So can I know what are your backgrounds and where are you from? Just let me know. Fine. Do let me know your academic backgrounds and the place where you're from. Obviously, don't say I'm from India. That's like an overstatement. I know. Right, few days back was 15th August, so good. That kind of nationalism is accepted, but not in the class. Be nationalist, yes, but also be specific. Fine. Let me know what are your qualifications and which place you belong to. Fine. Technically, you are in Delhi and still attending online. Fine. That's also fine, right? Because we have students from Kashmir to Kanyakumari now. I'm really interested in that, knowing basically the places from where students are coming and studying. Fine. It gives a greater sense of excitement, happiness, and responsibility as well. Fine, do let me know. Now, so see, administration and management, these are two terms which are generally used interchangeably. There's no problem. But if I'm talking more in terms of money, I'm talking more in terms of resources, time, right, human resource, and these kind of things, that is more management. Internal affairs, more management. Fine, so I can say I will manage my organization, correct? Right? But what will I say? I will administer the goals of the society. So when I am constructing houses under Pradhan Mantri Gramin Awas Yojana, I am basically administering the policy, administering the goals and objectives, right? When I am punishing my subordinate, when I am conducting an internal departmental inquiry, or when I am allocating the resources in my organization, when I am looking at the expenditure done by the organization, right? When I am looking at more or less the resources spent by the organization, right? It is more about management. Fine. Are you able to understand? So all of you, let me know, right? What are your academic backgrounds? When have you started preparing? Where are you from? Fine. A lot of interesting data will come. Now, so this. Now, when public administration comes to my mind, I also feel that it is more about welfare, justice, equality, right? It is less about customer, profit, productivity. See, today we are talking a lot of things like this. Fine. Governments are more concerned about productivity, industrial productivity, employment generation. Fine. Deficit, GDP growth rate. India is the fourth largest economy. Then it has come down to sixth, right? And then it is 150th or 40th in terms of GDP per capita. Lot of things are there to understand. But whenever I think of public administration, right, I have, like when I think of Babajis, when I think of religion, when I think of monks, when I think of certain people, I feel more respectful and ethical and moral. Obviously, not the Babas who are there on YouTube, but in general, fine, saints, people who are, spiritual. So whenever we think of public administration, right, we also think of public administration mostly from moral and ethical aspect. We don't believe that it is a system, an organization which is mainly working for extracting profit from the people, but it is working for vulnerable, downtrodden, backwards. See? Fine. So can we say at least four important perspectives emerge? Fine. It is a subject, it is a system, it is a set of functions, it has moral and ethical tone. It is moral and ethical in nature. So what is nature of public administration? Moral, ethical, right? It is more citizen centric. It works for the people, it protects their rights, it provides growth, development, justice, equality, basic needs. It fulfills a lot of things in the society, which obviously no other system in the world can do apart from the government system. An NGO, civil society, they can also do certain tasks, but obviously not at the scale of the government. It is the government which can give free rations. It is the government which can give subsidy. It is the government which can give waivers, right? Obviously to corporates. But okay, very good. A third economic honors from Ujjain. Very good. Okay, Sunirmal. So, Bachelor of Honors from Delhi University. Very good. Right? So, you people have completed your graduation and then you are starting. Fine. But you're taking an early start. This is good. Early start always important. Fine. Okay, Divya, Bachelor of Engineering background from Tamil. Very good. So, what engineering have you done, Divya? Divya, right? What engineering, what subject have you studied? Fine. Chalo. Right? So you can understand moral, ethical, it has its nature is what? Moral and ethical. Why we need to know this? Because see, when we think of a system of government, we are not just talking about efficiency, quality, delivery. And today we are talking about these things. Roads are not good. But we also have to think that government is giving subsidies. Fine. These are the common sense things you have to add in your answers. Fine. Okay. Debashrita, okay, I'm from Odisha and have done masters in politics and I am currently very good. Masters in politics and IR and interested in poetry. That's really exciting for me. So you have government is giving subsidies, government is giving waivers, right? Government is giving freebies, government is giving free ration and free tension both, right? Tension is also accompanied by what government is doing. So you have free rations, you have freebies and this and this and this. A lot of welfare activities done by the government where they don't expect revenue from it, right? But still they are selling petrol at a very high price. So Okay. Okay, Divyanshi, I'm from Delhi, currently doing economics honors from you. Very good. Fine. Which campus? Not campus. Right? So, imagine, government is doing these things. So, if government is mainly focusing on the people, right, who are vulnerable, government is focusing on inclusion, right, how to bring the most backward into the fold of development. Fine, you might have read NCRTs. Have you read NCRT? Fine. Gandhiji's talisman. Fine. In Hindi, we call it Gandhiji's jantar. It's like what you can say, a unique something, some magical, orientation that Gandhiji gives, right? So something like a doctrine, a principle. Fine. Gandhiji's talisman. Have you read this in the NCRT? What is he saying? That we must work our policies, our programs, whatever we do, last man, chalo, last person standing in the last person standing in the queue. Electronics and communication. Very good. Fine. That's an evergreen branch. Fine. So last person standing in the queue. Fine. Antodaya. Antodaya. Ant is the last. Udaya. Uday is the rise. The rise of the last person standing in the queue. The most vulnerable, the most backward. See, Gandhiji's idea can be applied here. Governments are working for what? The Antodaya. Gandhi. Right? Another idea of Gandhi. Sarvodaya. What is Sarvodaya? Sarv is everyone. So Gandhi is working for the last person, the most backward. Fine. And so rise of all, no doubt. Fine. He's saying everybody will grow, but definitely those who are, right, in the end, those who are in the last, they should be brought first. They should be the target of development. Now see, imagine a corporate sector, a private sector, right? iPhone or Apple, is it making phone for me? Is it making phone for you? Or maybe you, targeting younger generation, right? Because younger generation have a lot of show off to do. Now, so when you say which system, right? Is private sector, is corporate working, is iPhone being made for me, for you? Is it made for those people, right? 70, 80, 90 crore people who are still living off the government ration which is being given, public distribution system, free ration they are getting from the government. Are they making it for them? No. Fine. They are making it for those who will pay more and get more. Those who can pay, those who can avail. Are they doing it for us? Are they doing it for common man, common person? No. So it is the government which has an ethical, moral, humanistic, pro-poor, pro-backward, right, consideration when it is doing something. That is why we say public administration. When we listen to this term, it also gives us a moral and ethical perspective. Now see, PubEd can be at least these four things. It can be so many other things as well. These are called various perspectives of public administration. So public administration is not the mugging of the definition. The functions and the activities performed to achieve the goals of the government. Yes, it is one aspect. Right? So PubEd has a very wide meaning. Fine. Public administration, when understood as a subject expert, right, As people we are studying it in detail, we cannot simply say, oh, this is the definition and it's over. No, we should know the definition, no doubt. We should know elementary things also. We should know superficial things also. But then we have to upgrade it to the level the UPSC expects us to be. We cannot simply end up knowing only things at a very elementary level. So see, public administration can be defined in various ways. It can be understood in various perspectives. But yes, end of the day, public administration means a subject, an area of study, which is mostly focused on the study of how governments and administration work, how policies are made and implemented, right? And how the public interest or citizens' welfare is served. That is the simple focus of public administration. Now, what do we study? How do we study? Right? Obviously, there are various ways of studying it. Now, let me give you a very simple idea. Fine, you should keep noting it down. The notes will be dictated, no doubt. Right? Notes are very comprehensive, ready to use, ready to understand, conceptually interlinked, highly comprehensive. Almost 30, 40, 50 books maybe are subsumed in your notes. Fine, that is why you don't need to refer to anything. Fine, right from Igno to Mohit Bhattacharya to Nicholas Henry to Stephen Robbins to Negro in Negro to Fredericks to Woodrow Wilson's essay to whatever you can think of. Fine. So last 15 years I've been doing the same thing. Fine, studying and teaching, studying and preparing, studying and giving the exam. So I did not do anything apart from study. Right? So you can make out that whatever was available, obviously more or less in India, and whatever comes, right, in terms of Indian Institute of Public Administration journals, right, or IGNOU booklets, or upgradations from the IIPA, right, I am all members of all of that. In fact, International Journal of Public Administration, IJPA, I'm also a member, but not directly. I'm a member through, right, one of my closest person who is working in JNU and one is working in Delhi University, Hindu College. So they have access, I have access to them. Fine. So what contemporary developments take place? Fine. What are the themes which are important? What can be the possible scenarios in which questions can be asked, right? Everything will be in your class. Now, obviously, you will have to work and study them. I cannot, guarantee that if you don't study, then you'll be able to do it. No. You'll have to find out, you'll have to study it, you'll have to analyze, right? You'll have to incorporate that into your answer, right? So how now we'll do? How we'll study? Fine. So we have class. Fine. The class, we start with topic. Let's see. It's not necessarily topic will be the first topic. It will be starting from a particular aspect, right? So that it can become more relevant, right? Later on. So it depends upon how easily we are able to understand things and how do we start with a particular broad topic, right? So that we are able to understand other things later more easily. Fine. So we study. What do? We discuss. Fine. Then we bring the concepts. Right. We discuss the context, background. We have all the keywords, the ideas at one place. Then we analyze those ideas. Fine. PYQ is already integrated. Fine. Not only PYQ, but FYQ is also there. Fine. Expected questions are also designed. Fine. And these are all given to you, obviously in the class, in a form of organized content. Now, the nature of this content is obviously not descriptive. Nature of this content is usable. Fine. What exactly we need to write? That is obviously in your class notes. You have to write answers in 200 words, 250 words. Obviously, you cannot write stories, on and on, on and on, on and on. No. So you see the structure of your notes of the class will be well designed, well suitable to what you have to go and write in the exam. right? In fact, a lot of themes and perspectives that we discuss in the class, 99.9% is visible in your exam. Like I said, you have to do justice when you're writing it. Themes, ideas, topics, perspectives, all are in your class notes. Fine, that's the first level. Then when you are obviously studying it, reading it, right, you also have, for many of the online students, it's e-notes, right? Many of the online physical students, but is mostly doing online. I know there are Sarrthi students and there are physical students, right, which are at our ORN centers or who have associated with ORN center. Fine, so they'll be getting the notes in whatever format is given to them. Fine. These are called handouts. So there's a handout paper 1, there's a handout paper 2, right? You're reading this is the main content. Probably you don't need anything much more than that, but yes, once you read it, right, you should also go through them. Right? These are little more elaborate, more organized, but these are very comprehensive. Right? But these are organized, they will give you little more descriptive content. But understanding concept, answer writing, using that content, everything is here. Fine? Yes. Fine. Then second ARC inputs, right? In the class, already included when we are teaching. Fine. Contemporary developments, yes, all of them included when we are teaching. When I say contemporary developments, it's not current affairs. That's not my job to teach current affairs. Current affairs you study from current affairs teacher. My job is to tell you that what and where these current affairs will be used in your answer. That I will tell you. Fine. So we will supplement you, yes. Fine, we'll give you supplement. For example, I make a magazine called Bridge, though it is not very regular in sense it is not needed every month. So once or twice, I think in 2 months we bring out one compilation and we'll give it to you. Fine. Otherwise, it will be done in the class, right? Because I don't want to put additional layer of burden on you. You are already doing current affairs exclusively for GS, right? And obviously GS is more current affairs centric. PubEd is not, right? PubEd is contemporary development centric. Fine. When I say contemporary development, Keshwan and Bharti case is important for PubEd. Puttaswamy judgment in 2018 is important for public administration. Fine. It's not a current development. So PubEd or sociology or any other subject has its own, understanding of how current affairs, contemporary developments are needed. Now, these contemporary developments are visible both in paper 1 and paper 2. In paper 1, theories and theoretical developments all will be in your class, don't worry. In paper 2, right, obviously governance developments, policies, programs, laws, developmental schemes, right? So whatever is necessary for that will be in the class. Whatever additional I feel will be important for you to read, you can read it. We will give you the content, fine? Or I'll tell you this is where you can read your current affairs from your general studies, right? So I'll give you and I'll tell you how much and what you should read, not more than that. It is illogical. Beyond that, you will not get marks. You keep writing it. The examiner wants PubEd answer, not a current affairs answer. See, you should be very clear about it. Fine. So as you know, there are 2 papers. Fine. This is 12 units. This is 14 units. Together there are 26 units. What we need to study is only 18 units. Right. Rest 8 units are already included in them. Overlapping, parallel, integrated, interlinked, right? Linkage between paper, within paper, interlinkage with current affairs, right? What about something beyond syllabus? Everything is in the class. It is going to be in your class. You don't need anything. Fine. So if you ask me what references we should take, nothing. You should take the reference of class notes and your PDF or your booklets that will be given to you. Fine. What should you do? You should revise. What should you do? You should take up PYQs, right? So whenever I finish topic, I keep telling you, go and see the PYQs. More or less 80% of these students are able to understand them once they study in the class. Right? Obviously, you're not Superman or superhuman. You will take time, right? So even if you're able to understand in the first reading what exactly PYQ means, and you may not know the answer, that's fine. Understanding PYQ is the first step. When you study, when you take the classes, you go back, look at the variety of PYQs which have been asked on that topic, right? If you are able to make sense of 60, 70, 80% that, okay, I understand it, right? I know what exactly should be the answer. I have this framework in my mind, right? I'm able to decipher the question from my notes or my class understanding and discussion. That is enough. A lot of students who are writing mains this year, I know many of them, fine, who still are not able to understand a lot of things. Fine. So qualifying prelims does not give you a free ticket, free pass to prelims or to mains or qualifying mains. It is impossible. Right? Mains is a different ball game. That is why you'll realize when you'll give mains or prelims, you'll qualify prelims, you'll realize 30% of people writing mains are useless. They will never qualify mains. Because their majority of the effort has been put only in qualifying prelims. So that gives them pleasure that I qualified prelims. Oh, I qualified prelims. Okay, fine. You'll qualify prelims and you'll go back. You'll never. They will get 500, 450. I've seen students getting 330, 50 marks overall in the overall GS paper. Imagine in the mains. How can somebody get just 350 marks? Right? They've got 30 marks, 40 marks in subjects, in papers. Why? Fine. They did not have the sense of examination. Amassing notes, reading a lot of books, assuming that lot of reading is equal to lot of knowledge is equal to sure shot success is illogical in this exam. This exam doesn't work that way. Knowledge is mandatory input, no doubt. Knowledge is not the only input. This is important to understand. Fine. So we'll teach you, we'll take you through that process. Don't worry, you don't have to bother about it. So virtually you have to study 18 units. Rest 8 are covered under the other units. Obviously, we'll tell you that this is covered in this is covered in this. How questions are asked, that will tell you everything. Fine. So you need to have a notebook. Notebook, iPad, whatever you use. Fine. The topic with which we'll start, you need to have topic. Then you should also be able to write the themes. Fine, that I'll tell you in the class. Same thing you have to write. Fine. Your notes must look like this. If this is a page, this is one side, one column, right side, left side, wherever. Mostly right side is better. Fine. These are a lot of things we discuss. Right? Not necessarily what we write. So a lot of things we discuss before we write. Within writing, we discuss a lot of things. Now these things you have to note it down. Fine. In shorthand, in like codes or words, the way you want to write. Fine. Lot of information, lot of references, some books. Find some scholar's name, some new ideas, some contemporary developments, right? Even movies name, it doesn't matter. You write it here. Fine. Because when you will revise, right, this will be active recall. Right? You might understand this story here and you'll understand the content here. Right? Or many times from this story, you imagine the content. Right? You revisit the content, it becomes more easy for you. Right? This is your notes, that is how you have to make. Fine? A lot of diagrams will be there. Use that, all of that in the exam. Examples, diagrams, everything will be there. Now, apart from these notes, right, you need to have a small personal diary where you will not write personal things. Fine, but this is a small diary. In this small diary, what you will do, you will make your notes. What kind of notes? Right? Scholar's name. See, definitions, facts, a lot of data that we'll discuss in the class. You'll know a lot of things. So whatever you are studying here, right, just the keywords of that here. So if you're studying a scholar, a theory, a principle, anything, right? Just make 1 or 2 word note here so that, right, at times you're traveling, you're moving here and there, you're sitting somewhere else, you're attending a friend's birthday party, or you are in your own birthday party, it doesn't matter, right? You will have this pocket book, notebook, or diary, which you will always use for revising. See, what is it called? This is called micro information processing. Once this information processing is, you become smart in that, automatically you will remember this information. So you might, over the course of time, may have 5 diaries with you, small diaries. Keep it with them. Fine. So information, facts, examples, some interesting humor, some story, right? Many things will be told, you write it here, right? From here, borrow the keywords, the key ideas under scholars or themes or headings, right? But it should be only used for them. Scholar's name, definitions, data, facts, just that, right? So that you can remember it over the time and use it in your answers. Fine. This is how it will work. This is how it is going to be. Fine. The timing will be 5 to 6 months, nothing less than that. Right? It will take time. Why it will take time? Because PubAd does not cover just PubAd. It covers ethics and governance and a lot of other areas. Right? There are a lot of discussions on contemporary policies. Fine. Now see, this is current affairs, schemes, fine, and issues and lot of things on government, and this consumes time, right? Plus I dictate, we organize notes, everything is done in the class, but yes, it is not just dictation, right? We believe that there is need for interaction, and interaction is both ways. It is two-way. You respond, I answer, I ask, you respond, you have doubt, we solve it, then we move further. So the class goes in that manner, right? It's not just one-way communication. Right? PPTs, PDFs if needed, I'll give you, right? I don't stand and read PDFs. Fine. I write most of the things myself. We have to write it, right? We cannot just read PDFs, because eventually in the class, in the examination hall, you have to write. When you write, you will realize that why note making is important, why constant revision is important, why handwriting is important, right? Why having a structure of content is important, right? So all that is designed and developed in the class. Fine. Rest of the things, when you will do, when you will understand, when you will attend classes, I gave you a preview of how I teach, what I start with, right? And tomorrow I'll give you the elaborate detail. Wednesday onwards, we'll start with a topic, right? What that topic would be, why it would be, I'll tell you tomorrow. Fine. Also, let me give you a brief intro about myself, right? I am obviously teaching from last 14 years now, and I'm telling you, I've seen many of the Sachin Tendulkars getting out on 0, right? Many of the Ajit Agarkar scoring 100, right? Many of the underdogs getting ranked in top 10 single digit, many of the toppers throughout their life not even qualifying mains. I've seen it all. It's been a long history of me with UPSC. Many of the teachers that you see today have been taught by me. Many of the teachers that you see today, they do not have that many years of experience as many of experience I've been teaching, right? I started teaching at a very young age. Fine. So that was more of passion for me. Thank you so much. Yes.